It's no surprise that we're going like crazy right here at the Ravens Rundown because Ravens fans are the best in the National Football League. We're getting close to our next milestone, 37,500 subscribers, only 199 subs away, and I need you guys to help me out. What you get in return? Daily free Ravens shows right here at the Baltimore Ravens Rundown, sometimes even twice a day, live shows during the week, watch parties for game days. It's the best deal. All you got to do, hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you a dime. You get everything in return. So it's nothing new that this defense was absolutely embarrassed on Monday Night Football, right? No surprises there. We talked about it pretty much every single video since that football game was over on Monday night, right? Look, you're trying to get past it. You're trying to move forward. But sometimes it feels like they were so bad that you can't just move past it. You can't just move forward. You've got to figure out something because they're right here on the most points allowed in 2025 list with the Dolphins, Titans, Bears, and Jets. And I said this yesterday, I'll say it again. Anytime you're on the same list as the Titans, Bears, and Jets, something is not right, and you are above them with 97 points allowed so far this year. The PFF grades, awful. 26.0, 27.9, 29.3, 30, and 30. And all five of those guys are around $45.5 million worth of a cap hit, 40% of your defensive cap space. To those five right there, none of them graded higher than a 31 on PFF grades. Pass rush win rate, defensive line was horrible, right? Odafe Oweh, best game of them all, 17.6. Travis Jones, 13.3. Not terrible from the interior, but Mike Green, huge disappointment. Roquan Smith and Peebles, when they were sent in to rush the passer, they couldn't do anything. Tavius Robinson, 5.6% on 19 pass rush snaps. He couldn't do anything, okay? And now you're sitting here, and you're looking at this defensive line, and you're looking at the fact that they only have 3 sacks through 3 weeks, and they did not get to Jared Goff one time on Monday. And it took them until 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter to get to one Josh Allen for the first time. Now, I get it. You're missing some pretty big guys. Kyle Van Noy, he's got a hamstring injury. Nnamdi Madubuike, he had a neck injury. But still, man, this is the game of football. You knew you were not going to go through the entirety of this season with a 100% full and healthy roster. And you're going to be missing these guys for the next couple of weeks. Nnamdi Madubuike, neck injury. That could last a long time, guys. That's a very, very serious thing. It feels like, with the state of this defensive line, and honestly, even when those two guys were playing, it's not like this defensive line was playing very well. Let's just be frank. Regardless, with the state of your defense, with the state of your pass rush, with the state of your front four, it feels like Eric DeCosta needs to do something. Because right now, we all feel, with the contract situations, with the talent on this roster, that this is your Super Bowl window. And so if you're coming up short because you can't get to the passer, because you can't stop the run, because your front four can't seem to do anything, something needs to be done, and maybe something in forms of a trade. So I'm going to give you 3 blockbuster trade targets that if I'm Eric DeCosta, I'm at least picking up the phone over the past 48 hours and over the next couple of months till the trade deadline to see if we can get them in Baltimore. And the first call I'm making is to the New York Football Giants, okay? That's the first number I'm dialing up to the Big Apple to see if Dexter Lawrence is in any way, shape, or form on the trade block. Now, this one would be a blockbuster, an absolute blockbuster. And I say that because Dexter Lawrence is probably, in my opinion, the best interior defensive lineman in football. Dude's an absolute freak. Now, he does have the benefit of the doubt of playing on a really, really stacked defensive line, so there's a lot of attention elsewhere. But regardless, man, even before they had all that talent, Dexter Lawrence was balling out. The trade would be a hefty one. Would cost you a pretty penny. A first-round pick and a fourth-round pick in next year's draft. In return, you get Dexter Lawrence. You're going to hear a lot of people tell you that Dexter Lawrence wouldn't go for a first-round pick. Don't listen to those people. They don't know what they're talking about. This dude 100% would only be traded away by New York for a first-rounder. Like, we got to ask the question. We got to be honest with ourselves. Can you win a Super Bowl with this defensive line? I don't know if you can. You have to look back at this last year's Super Bowl winner. You got to look back at the Eagles, right? Think about how good they were on that front four. Yeah, they were so good, I'm still sneezing about it, right? Think about what they were able to do against Patrick Mahomes on Super Bowl Sunday without even having to blitz, man. Putting up unbelievable numbers. Do you think this group can do that? Because I don't, personally. I don't. Even with Nnamdi, even with Kyle Van Noy. With Dexter Lawrence, though, things could be a little bit different. If you look at the PFF grades over the last 4 seasons, 81.2, 89.9, 92.9, 92 flat. Dude, he's been so good and so consistent. And I said it earlier. I'm going to say it again for emphasis. Emphasis, not emphasis. He's the best interior defensive lineman in the sport right now. Okay? He's unbelievable. What he can do rushing the passer, what he can do stopping the run, he can do it all. So would you trade away a first and a fourth for him? You let me know in the comment section down below. Type A for accept, type D for decline. Make sure you weigh in and let me know what your answer is. While y'all are down there in the comment section, I got to tell you guys about our awesome deal from our awesome sponsor, our friends at PrizePicks. If you download the PrizePicks app right now, use our code CLNS. You can get $50 in lineups. All you got to do is play one $5 lineup. Look, you and I, we make decisions every single day. But with our friends at PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. So don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. PrizePicks offers injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks won't count it as a loss. And it's time to get back in the win column with our friends at PrizePicks. So for the Chiefs-Ravens game, this is what I've got. The more on Zay Flowers receiving touchdowns. The more on Derrick Henry rushing touchdowns. And frankly, I think it's going to be a while for this secondary to get figured out. Go ahead and give me the more on Patrick Mahomes, 247.5 pass yards. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Link to this promo is in the comments and a description of today's video. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. We thank our friends at PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show. All right, let's talk about Jeffery Simmons, another big boy in the interior, a guy who's been dominating the National Football League since he was drafted out of Mississippi State. And I think value-wise, if I'm going to be 100% honest with you, Jeffery Simmons feels like it's probably going to be the best option. Because if you look at a trade and what that might look like, no, you can push it across, Gage. Third-round pick in 2026. Yeah, third-round picks are valuable, okay? I hear you. I get what you're saying. But, guys, again, we got to remind you, this team has the talent, we believe, outside of the defensive line to win a Super Bowl. So third-round pick to maybe bridge that gap, I'm doing that all day, okay? Jeffery for a third, that value's great. That value's awesome. What he's been able to do with Tennessee in a really bad defense when he's pretty much been the only good player is phenomenal. 76 tackles last season, 5 sacks, 11 tackles for loss, 10 tackles for loss the year before that in 12 games, 9 tackles for loss the year before that in just 15 games, over 5 sacks in each of the last 3 seasons. And when it comes to the Tennessee Titans, guys, doesn't it feel like they're kind of going nowhere? Doesn't it feel like they're kind of in this no-man land where they just got a new quarterback, but there's questions with the head coach, right? And that's why it kind of feels that probably a new head coach is going to come for Tennessee after 2025. Brian Callahan just yesterday stepped down from play calling duties, okay? So you got a new head coach next year. Maybe that new head coach could come in there, see his shiny new toy at the quarterback position with Cam Ward and say, hey, let's just stock up with draft picks. If we can get a third for Jeffery, he's getting a little bit older. He's expensive. If we can get a third for Jeffery, let's do it. Let's try to get Cam a little bit more protection on the offensive line, and maybe we can even get him an offensive weapon or two with that pick. Seems a little bit more realistic that the Titans would be sellers at the deadline rather than buyers. The last one, Quinnen Williams. Speaking of sellers, I got a feeling the New York Jets are going to be sellers for a good bit over the next 3 to 5 years. I love Quinnen, man. I loved him coming out of college, right? I didn't love him when he was at Alabama because, of course, I went to the University of Tennessee. But regardless, he's a damn good football player, okay? He'd cost you probably a first-round pick straight up. Now, you can argue with the value of that. First-rounder does seem like a lot, but there's a lot to like about Quinnen Williams, okay? There's a lot. Does it seem that realistic from the Jets standpoint? Unfortunately, they'd have to eat $35.3 million in dead cap space. So that deal would have to make sense for them, right? But I like a lot about him. Like I said, he's young, he's dominant, and I feel like he'd come into Baltimore and he would fit in perfectly. Your biggest need is interior defensive line. And when Nnamdi Madubuike comes back, if he comes back healthy and he's lined up next to Quinnen Williams, guys, that's a really, really dangerous interior. I'm worried about the run defense just as much as I'm worried about getting to the pass rusher. Getting to the passer. That, to me, is just as big of a problem as it is that they can't sack the quarterback. You get Quinnen Williams in there, you get a guy who can do both. The Baltimore Ravens need a culture change on defense. They do. They need something to get figured out. They need somebody to come in here with a new attitude to shake this team up. They need to do that. Somebody on the coaching staff needs to do that. Hell, somebody's got to. Will they go out and get the guy that will? I don't know. We'll see. Make sure you guys have me followed on social media. You got me at Joey Peterson on Twitter and on Instagram. If you're not subscribed to the channel, you got to make sure you change that today. Hit that sub button.